Okay, welcome everybody. We can set our motivation together with the Refuge and Bodhicitta prayer. Sangye chodam soge chonam la jangja padu dagni kyapsuji dagi chönyen gipe sognam ki jola penche sangye druparshu Sangye chodam soge chonam la jangja padu dagni kyapsuji dagi chönyen gipe sognam ki Jola penche sangye drupalashu Sangye chedan soge chonam la Jangja padu dagni kyapsuchi Dagi chönyen gepe sognam ki Jola penche sangye drupalashu. Reverently I prostrate with our body, speech and mind. We present clouds of every type of offering, actual and imagined. We declare all our negative actions accumulated since beginningless time and rejoice in the merit of all holy and ordinary beings. Please remain until the end of cyclic existence and turn the wheel of Dharma for living beings. We dedicate our own merits and those merits of others to the great enlightenment. Saji Bhagi Jukshin Metatron Rira Lingshi Nide Gyambhadi Sangye Jingdu Mingde Ulai Blagun Nanda Jira Jeba Jetsu Lama Damba Genamgi Jagu Kala Gense Jezindri Jita Samba Duje Simala Sage Turki Jaba Abdu Soridam Guru Ranam and
강의 도전이 손에 나와 탑지방 매제 담배 전에 되게 고담내라 차절로 돈이 제송던 주변은 제제선제 간진된 분 천남배 못되지 소원대서 다 주진진로 Nasoni, Samala Tashitele.
So Kadrala welcomes you all to Tushita.
Tene Loma Rigla. Any Kongi Anni Gumbeda, Konaba, Tushita, and Konaba Tamaji. And she Yungrosi, Simabo, Lasso, Nachuni Jaya Chumason, Gonda Juin, Tetri, Tachi, Jaji Kogarazon, Tujiche, and Ingazo, Kajuguru. Kesha ina Tiniji, Chambata Zevigor, Chanjusemigor, Tindi, Rolling Chair, Rishan, Shindu Tujiche, Jugi, and Nada that Tindi, Zachimu Tindizima, Mela Shiaji, Tindiji, Zachimu Kaya, Yomari de Ina Young, and Indiji, Karzora, that Chanju Sim, Dratu Zamjini, Shindumbe, Gatinche, Joy.
I apologize, first of all, take the opportunity to apologize because Tushita has been asking for me. It's been a long time since I've been here, and Tushita has been sort of requesting me to come many times, and I've kind of sort of said, as they would say in Tibetan, lasso, but it hasn't, which means I'll try to come. But I'm very happy to be here today, to have this opportunity to meet with you all and to talk a little bit about the topics of compassion, loving kindness, and also the awakening mind of Bodhicitta. And I don't have any special understanding of these particular topics, but I feel myself fortunate to be a person who has even to have heard the word, the words of the awakening mind, or the word of bodhicitta. So I'm very happy to be here and to talk about these things today.
Jidangi Chambada, Zevilo, Layade, Dangazo Semji Gula, Teniji, Susu, Ranches, Devin Juni Jitang, and Niritwanina, Chawa Kangi, Tolaina, Tati, Mena, Metameva Zidan, Zachimushu, the Chadora.
Even in a sort of normal context of ordinary people, then it's still ordinary people still place a high value on topics such as sort of as things such as loving compassion and loving kindness and compassion, and all. You can say there's nobody that doesn't really feel that life is not sort of that they're really essential, indispensable to a kind of ordinary life. Even ordinary people think in this way.
That Jimzindi, also, Chick Semjan Malo, Deva Devande, Dungi Mandevache, Sora Deva Lakawa Yozani, Teniji, that Devin Juni, Nubu Jiginani, that Putuchuma, and that's Achi, the Chamba the Zevilo de Rendo.
So these are really incredible kinds of minds, the minds of loving kindness and the minds of compassion, and all sentient beings, all sentient beings wish for happiness, and all sentient beings wish to not have to suffer, and everyone enjoys to have a kind of pleasant, comfortable, happy feelings. Everyone enjoys this. So these are really important parts of the greatness of things such as loving kindness and compassion.
Chesandaji deba devandena da dungi ani ji ju machi wa zi yong de te yang chamba da zewe lo nyong cha ani chamba da zewe lo la jap ge ne teni ji so su midin jenge yong so zo ba de ani ji chamba da lo ji ani jap cho ne yong de zi sha da rin do chamba da zewe lo maybe Tony, tan desha shedan timu laya zero, tizu Tony nga zo dungen de yung de goro.
But of course, we all wish for those things. We wish the wish for happiness in all sentient beings is there, and the wish for to be separated from suffering. But of course, if we stray away from those things which bring that, such as loving kindness and compassion, and stray into mental states such as clinging, attachment, and kind of anger and aversion, then that's where that, although we wish for happiness, that will bring us, that will lead us into suffering.
지 부중중 갑 대발라이나 가서다 아니지 고랑신지 가서로 참바다 제벨로데 고랑신 슈기 용데이도.
So this is easy to see with the young children how they initially there's a kind of natural tendency towards kindness and loving kindness and compassion, these kind of mental states.
되니 칼레 나야 선두 아니지 가서다 대차 셰당 디무 창만로 아니지 야 예원나지 체네데 참바다 제벨로데 칼레 뉴르로네 따티니 칼레라 차당일로 칼라 숙첨부 질레르와.
But slowly, as you know, it's easy to observe that slowly you see that there can be a sort of as the children become older, that they're influenced more by aversion, attachment, ignorance, and so these as those increase in us, then it's a natural process that the compassion, loving kindness, those kind of states of mind start to reduce as we get further influenced by aversion, attachment, ignorance, these kind of negative states.
세상다 학벌돌라 뒤주닝마 텐드질라다 베메신 잠블링 거자 첨보 뉴몬 숙첨보 텐드기 때나다 가서 잠바다 제벨로데 콤베르 땅야다 참바다 제벨로라 슉 맞아와이나 데 잠블링데다 직파체보다 랑신 창원로 와데니 다 류졸라 할리비지 강에 첨보다 직파체보 레그로와.
So it's really an important time to this time is a really important time to focus on really extending and increasing within the kind of our world environment the states of loving compassion and kindness, these kind of positive states, because if not, and these are not sort of focused on and enhanced within this world, then this is going to lead us to a time of great fear and great suffering lies ahead of us if we don't focus on these things.
세상다 가서 가르주로 다지 삼노 야보 지도니 좀젠다 덴비토네 데니 잠바다 제벨로데 칸디스네 빠르고기도 칸디스 째고기도 제젠 칸디스를 때네 잠바다 제벨로 째고기도.
So then we have to, but this, then we have to look at how's that going to happen? What are the with a kind of supportive reasoning behind it to see how that will take place. So then we have to really look into what are the supportive causes and conditions which would be employed in order to help love and compassion and loving kindness and compassion flourish in the world. What are the causes and conditions? We need to think about the reasons behind this.
대인전에 삼노야고 따와이나 아니 주제 망보지 잔주기 셈 저야 돼서 가진 잠지 제와이나 가지 로와이나 잔주기 셈 제기면도 가지 제와 잠기.
So and of course there would be no opportunity for these kind of refined states of mind like the awakening mind of Bodhicitta to arise if these basic building blocks are not in place beforehand.
제상 지단계 가지고로 다시 메세노나 소소 삼노 땅와이나 아니 소소기 최대라 아니 소소기 최대라이나 잠바다 제벨로 되요나 최대인데 야보여 되와 제리와 아니 나와 지와 아니 소소 지부 대보지 저거로 아니 심장한다 부구 바로라이나 양 잠바다 제벨로 되 가지 요와이나 아니 참부 지지라 이지체와 지지라 양 참보다 튠부토네 로도야 내 낭진지 되니 바 총바 침제 아니 자컵 대바 잠블링 찌라 삼노데 잠바다 제벨로데 요와이나 되니 소소 류라 대보 아니 셈 대보 아니지 삼바이나 파르메와 아니지 찌버러지 다 약슈지 차고여와.
So really, these states of mind are so incredible. And if we just take the context of our own present lives and the health of our own lives, if we practice practice love and loving kindness and compassion, then our health is greater improved. There's less illness. We may live a longer. It's possible to live a longer life. That there may be sort of greater contentment and general happiness throughout our lives, and also then applying this not just to ourselves, but within the context of our families and the relationships between, within a family, between children and parents, and the greater that these states of love and compassion are in this context, then there's also greater kind of sense of a kind of relaxed trust between people, and everyone is generally more comfortable. And then if we take that from that context, of the family context, and then so from an individual to the family, and then employing these things throughout society and through and then society's countries, and then out into the wider world, then we can see that the development, the increase in loving compassion and kindness, loving kindness and compassion throughout the world would bring greater peace, greater health and comfort to the body, greater peace to the mind, and perhaps also reduce the number of kind of obstacles that occur in people's lives.
And zambuling dinala chuluk pejaji ani domba za chimbo tizuya ngazo ani be semba zambuchi jela ne maji ani jela pento wache selani ta chamaji jigyursung nangdo. So
also we can see within this world, with all the great religious traditions of the world, and the founders, the founding teachers of those great religious traditions would always praise loving kindness, compassion, particularly compassion, loving kindness, and all of them state how it's of tremendous benefit to oneself and others. So this is very common even throughout all of the great religious traditions of the world. So and this is, when people who are seen to be of good heart, of great heart or great kindness, or who embody these qualities, they're looked on as people who have quality. They are people of great quality. That they have qualities to them because of their kind-heartedness, their love, and their compassion. So there can't be many people that really. Everybody wants, at least for others to treat them well. Nobody wants to be treated badly, and probably most people even do have a wish to treat others well and to not treat others badly. So this is kind of a natural state of things. So but there are great, within with saying that people are good or kind-hearted, that has many different kind of levels of strength and also of a kind of ability or potential within them. So it's very diverse. So when we're not meeting difficulties and things are going well for us, then it's relatively easy for us to feel kind-hearted, to have patience, and these are the kind of positive qualities when we're not faced with complications and difficulties.
강에 튀우나 되니 잠바다 제벨로 곰나 아니 소소기 아니 배 셈데 두르로야다 곰마시 비조라다 강따라 아니 셈데 아니 배든 주바지네 고 메바차로도 왔어.
So, but it's easily seen that when the unconducive and complicated conditions come into our lives, then at that time it's easy for either the strength or indeed the of our loving kindness, our compassion, our patience, these positive states, to be easily eroded, and even for the mind to be completely kind of altered or carried away, and even for those positive things to be destroyed. This is quite easy to see.
태인장다 시에샤 롭종 가르제이나 주튠비토네 리브미거지 이바 송장 아니지 잔주기 셈 라야지 짜침보데 가서 거베지 잔주기 셈 라야디 잔죽 셈 라야디 가르지 이면다 디진 개바 가르지 예메 아 데즈데 제주치아데 백해신 인사레스.
Yes, so of course, and so we have to think about. We also have to think in this context about how things are, how those states of mind arise. So, for instance, this incredible mind, the awakening mind of Bodhicitta, and we have to. It's produced these. States are produced in relying on conditions in accord with the causes in condition with the result of the resulting mind, these resulting positive minds. So, for instance, with bodhicitta, we have to sort of ask what bodhicitta is, what's it like, what does it mean, and sort of look into how is it produced in accord with its causes and conditions.
다nga 제주 지야라 아니지 오늘 잠바다 제벨로 자첨부 용알라 아니 디기 겐다 칸리미 베라지나 가서 셈진 라야데다 이지 네갑지 트레지 로지기 찡데발라 셈진 라게도와 셈디 네갑 찡데와 로 출바지라 셈진 시고로와 아니 셈디게 니루 용서 줘바지 첸송이나 아니 네갑데 용서 줘봐 아니 강에 참아 식도야지 라 산지 세규여로다.
So we have to think about these incredible positive minds, but we have to also think in the context of when we're thinking about how to develop them. We have to think about the context of what are also the unconcordant, what are the obstructive factors which will prevent them from arising in us. And sometimes it's kind of said in a way that the sentient being is a sentient being, an ordinary sentient being, is one whose mind is mistaken with regard to the way things are, and that if you kind of completely were aware of the exact way in which things exist, then and you would have removed all kind of obstacles or mistaken mind, then you would be the Buddha. Sometimes it's said like this, as to make a description between the differentiation between sentient being and Buddha.
태송장 가서 다 셈진 라야디지 남 준도 배주에 땅야라 아니지 지 따와 친지로 돼야지 아니 좁아 친지로 돼야지 디기토네 아니지 내갑지 대화여나 준도베 랑지 동에베 랑지 아니지 시베 분조 아니지 텐조지 밀리름 버체이나 아니 고 녀모 통숨지 방제 인장 다지 고 주베 랑지 다 동에베 랑지 지칼라 아니 코르고기도 대선장 따와 친지 말로 왔다 좁아 친지 말로 왔지 응은 로와이나 아니 장죽샘 라에게 랑가지 간다 로아진 가서 탑 체바진지 면로스.
So when we think about, so in thinking about sentient beings in this context, then because they have essentially have a kind of mistaken kind of views of reality, and also on the basis of the mistaken view of reality, they have a mistaken conduct, sort of a kind of ways of behavior and conduct, then and therefore with kind of overwhelmed to some extent by the three poisons of attachment, aversion, and ignorance, then they have to necessarily go under the sway of the suffering of suffering and the suffering of change. These are a necessary part of their existence. If we were to change that and to so that our view and our conduct, the view that we had of the nature of reality was known well and was unmistaken, and therefore on the basis of that our practice of conduct and behavior were also unmistaken, then that's the place where we start to, when we talk about Janchukisem, the mind of enlightenment, and we talk about enlightenment, that's the place where we engage with the path that leads us to enlightenment.
대송장 가서 담 된저지 밀리르 뭐지 미 남주 뒤 땡네 아니 시럽 짜첨보지 표주다네 아니 시럽 라야 돼직 표주 땅와이나 가서 쌤기 시럽 줘야 돼 난간나지 빼 짜첨보 띵자보 아니 살보 딘디 짜첨보지기 표주 동조여와 송장 되니 땅 가서 칼레 소소기 미시나라 지 낭베추 제롱 마체롱 되니 동인디 빵고 여자네 아니 초바 대화 토고 여자네 초바 동인디 소소이 만들바당 빵고 인자네 다 예네 소소기 삼내나라 아니 따와 친지로 되디 간제리 디지 아니 응원에 제바이나 잔주심 라야지 제 맞주바지 긱체슈데 아니 따와 친지로 송와이나 아니 제바 친지로 해야 돼 다고 이힘바리더라.
So in terms so also as Katrala said before, also even if someone is a sentient being, even though you may have attained what we term as a precious human rebirth, that's still under the sway of the three poisons and the mistaken view and mistaken conduct, you experience suffering. But in this precious human rebirth, whether you were not necessarily being a Buddhist or a non-Buddhist, whichever, but it's still, to some extent, wisdom is still kind of valued. There's a sense in which understanding and wisdom are valued, and to if we think the way we should think about wisdom, and certainly in the context of the path to enlightenment, is we should think of wisdom as a path. It's a path which is very extremely kind of vast and deep, and something of incredible value to have in our lives. As I say, even if people being Buddhist or non-Buddhist, but still we have these kind of innate wishes not to avoid suffering. We wish to have pleasant feelings and happiness, pleasant and happy feelings and experiences. We wish to avoid unpleasant and uncomfortable and feelings and experiences. And so, yes, and so that's a kind of natural process, even as a non-Buddhist. But if we're talking about the path which leads us to enlightenment and the awakening mind, then what we do is we start to look at what the primary kind of obstacle to that occurring is, which is what's called Chinjilok below in Tibetan. It means that literally the completely inverted mind, the mind which sees the nature of things in a completely inverted, mistaken way.
아니 친지로 되로 ngui ni chu ma thong ni ngui ni chu ma thong wa ma chi ngui ni chu la 아니 지 가져로다 주민시 남도 따네 아니지 잔들 년중 된레기 출바지라 아니 덴버지야 아니 착바 젬바 제와 된레기 리 용서 저거디 디에 마서 다마지베서야다 동에서야 참마 데려와서
And you're all people who've had a very good education and people who are used to kind of analyzing and checking things. So it's very important in the context that we're talking here to analyze look for yourself. It's very important for us to come up face to face with and identify what is the root causes of suffering. So in the Buddhist text, in the Buddhist context, they will say that for sentient beings, the root cause of their but this is something for you to identify and look for yourself. But the root causes of suffering for a sentient being are essentially this mistaken view, the mistaken view of reality, this inverted kind of fully mistaken kind of way of not seeing the true nature of things. And what also happens through that, from that view, is what's called a kind of inappropriate engagement, inconcordant engagement with the nature of reality, which then drives on the process of the arisal of our such negative emotions as strong clinging attachment, and also apply conjoined with all of this is our this mistaken view also entails us clinging to things as though they exist in a kind of intrinsic, inherent way, which then drives the process of our suffering. So this is how it's presented in the text.
ngazogi zimba 아니지 착바 짐바이 로데 아니 따와 친지 로데인데 지 마투바이나 디하마호이나 데니 지 저바장부지 제거래라나 디사깔레 가보시고 용기로 빼라지나 만난가다냐베 셈젠 탐제네 파마마지베 지자메 다 상말로라니 파마 나지소소 파마 나지 제바치고래라데 람상 셈나라 망부지라 숑기요 말와
숑기요
that's similar
So if based on through this kind of mistaken view, where we get and this kind of this clinging, this grasping and clinging attachment, and this kind of fully mistaken views, then. Even if we're to make, even if we're sort of engaged in kind of good-hearted kind of acts, then if we're to sort of make the prayers about how may I see all sentient beings as kind of all the sort of as vast as the sky filled with the sentient beings, may I see all these sentient beings as being my parents or my mother. But somehow, with that underpinning of the kind of grasping and clinging, it's not possible to fit that kind of sense into our minds. The sense, the idea that all sentient beings could be our mothers is more difficult for us to acculturate ourselves to.
강다라 지나기 최탐만로와 아니 이제 땐제 뚜줍지 여대바마도 랑신 주바 들삼 매워지 하거나.
So there's no doubt, though, that if we were to understand this presentation of how from the Dharma presentation of how things arise in a dependently related way, and that there's not a single atom from the side of the phenomena. With the phenomena have not a single atom of kind of inherent or existence from their own side, then there's no doubt that the attachment and aversion would fade away.
차당이 qabla 아니 소소 지 랑시 드바여와 안도 안소소기 자카비난다 소소기 차당이 로제사 가라지나 아니 비 축도바지 아니 베 템버진데바지 로지 용거로와스 단 디긴 안에 소소기 남도 조제마모 지신네데네 차당기 로잉 안에 되네 동행 코나마도 타마데 니갑 대와요나 대바 대반데우데 용연데 동행마도 아니 용연 매바지 차거로
So this confused process is what even though that we wish to have happiness, we don't wish to have suffering, but when attachment and aversion these arise in us, then we have, for instance, with attachment to or anger to our attachment to our country, for instance, then there's this very very sense of great kind of self-substantial kind of self, which is a solid kind of self, and so based with that in mind, and then with all the kind of mixtures of causes and conditions, and our kind of conceptual thinking that springs out of all of that, even though we're naturally not wishing to have suffering and we're wishing to have happiness, there's only one result, and that is the result that we end up suffering through our misunderstanding.
진리지 따와 친지 말로와지 칼레 소소 라마 게비시니 때니 칼레 아니 소소 특주라지 박샤자니 총송와이나 데기 때네 아니 줘봐 체험해와 장주기 셈 라야데라 아니 좀젠다 데미토네 아니 지 랑진지 라야데 단 고균네 독자임바 아니 젠진지 제야데라 아니 참바다 제벨로 라나 겐침보 코트미 아니 셈디 자침보 셈디 장보 셈디 덴바지 칼란도 그래서
So again, this the kind of mistaken views and mistaken kind of minds are common to us. But if we were to, perhaps we are fortunate enough through contact with our teachers and spiritual teachers and guides. And perhaps there's some kind of small imprint that is from that. If we're able to see the sort of the benefits of mind, such as the awakening mind, and when we were to hear of when we think about something like the self-cherishing mind. Then we would maybe have a kind of automatic response of seeing it as kind of negative, and when we hear of or develop the mind cherishing others instead, we might think of it as something very positive, something very vast and kind of straight or honest and stable. So perhaps through some small imprints from contact with our spiritual guides.
근데 다지 따와다 쩌바니데 중제체네데 가르저라다 지 탑시니 송로하다 데니 중제체네 수수 미지줘야데 패키지 모르도와.
So it's really important for us to kind of live our lives through this kind of union of the correct view and also of a positive conduct based upon that. So there we have this is also essentially a kind of union of kind of method and then also of wisdom, and through this process is how we should live our lives.
따와 띵중디 하군딘데나 안소소 셈 짜침부 시우지 미 할레베지 룽랑 카보 아니 자바침보 아니 고메나 삼된 쳔보 시럽 쳔보 다한다 베 시럽 자침보 베 메시지 심디 쿠양부 자침보 직찬로도.
So if we have this view in the way that phenomena appear in a kind of dependently originating, dependently related way, then this really gives us a kind of vast kind of outlook into life. It's hard for us to anger. It's easier for us to practice patience. It's in developing concentration. it seems to be easier for us to develop concentration. So so it's such a kind of huge kind of positive influence with this underpinning of the view of dependent origination.
다와디 축도바지 제송아이나 데네 랑진진체 아니 가르주고로 보다 자와 가르치는 일에 저와 롭종 가르쳐와이나 랑진진 랑 대탑당 랑 소탑 아니 셈바디 부스토보 셈바디 충중 아니 겐 충중 데르키니지 자기도.
So, but if we follow the other path of under the sway of the mistaken view, then and that kind of drives us into sort of over kind of self-cherishing, and then whatever we do in life, for instance, whether it be sort of a career or in an education field, we're kind of driven by a kind of our mind becomes very small, and it becomes a very kind of tight and kind of what's the word? Very kind of obstinate and kind of tight way of thinking, and we're very much more absorbed in our own kind of the happiness for ourselves and our own kind of success, and driven again under this sway of this mistaken view of reality.
아니 충주 여바 마치 로테 창보메바 아니 랑쇼라 아니 착 진쇼라 당 잔드주지다 니 장주지 차당의 로지 랑신시 아니 수수기 동해지 주용도.
And then this really creates our own suffering, because what's happening is that it's not only sort of not just for self-cherishing, but this sense of we become much more dishonest. It's very easy for us to be much more divisive in the way that we deal with people or things that we don't like easily with aversion, and the things that those things which are very close to us with a strong sense of attachment, and then this completely drives our process of suffering.
안 수수기 수수수수라 삼주이나 롭종 여와이난다 벤조 여와이난다 토왕당 여나 참말라 나슈지 진라마데비 나랑랑게 빼짜침부지 텐디기도 왔어 네 참말로 로데 할리베 논지로 왔어 나서 롭종 여와당 벤조 여와당 깨자 여와당 장부 연대 차진 가세 여와 참말로 진라 뛰네 진라 떼네 개개 셈제 마모 찍라 또그땀 용수 줘봐 야보지 주름 때와 있나 참만 뺨미시 가진 첨부들이 더리스 이는데 하마고니 니주 틴지라 아니지 가져서 소소기 낭주라 랑지고 진라 마데와 랑지보기 짜침보지 수수수 쉬우지 되고로 왔어 딱 할레비 출발이도 왔어.
So this leads us into a huge mistake in our lives, in the way that we can see this under the sway of this kind of mistaken view and mistaken view, and it's very easy for us to start thinking this very strong sense of self that it's easy, for instance, if we were to become well known, if we were to have good education or a good financial career or something like this, and it's quite easy for people to start thinking that it's just them who did it themselves, that it wasn't. It never these forms of success never arose in relation to anyone else. They were just we have this kind of extended sense of our own self-importance, and this is a huge mistake that creates problems within our lives and suffering within our lives. So we have to understand that all of the good qualities, all of the good things that happen to us, and the good qualities that arise. For instance, in terms of education, whether we have good education or not. Even if we have good education, it's not ourselves alone. It relied on other students or the teacher. If for other things in life, it relies completely on other sentient beings. So there's no way in which we can have achieved those things ourselves, and yet we have this sense of almost like self-isolation. It's just like we who did it. So we need a kind of, and that's the way they appear to us. That sometimes that's how it appears to us, that we just did it all alone. And we need a strong sense of gratitude to others for the part that they played in when we do have successes.
제사랑 제네 손데 마시 받을라 젠라 마데마지 안에 랑게 그거 부숨서봐 용서서봐 여대바지 수치라 요 말이스 젠라 땡고 그래스.
So you have to, there's no way that any of this could occur from birth all the way to death. It's everything that occurs essentially has to have relied on others along the way.
제산 자치 모레도 와스. 대장은 젠 자치 모레도 와스. 셈지.
So therefore we have to also think of all the sentient beings as being incredible, this sense of gratitude towards them.
제장다 지 소소게 참바다 제벨로 지 셈바장보 제고래 셈바장보가 가기요 셈바장보랑가 가기 실라나 가와 잠기 네 용야 차기 말해서 말람제야다 잔주 셈조름 뭐제 제쇼 마제바나 제주제 라야다 되니지 말람다 야보다래 다지 깜부지 시에바 이나고 베 미시소남사 주제데 이나양 셈바장보 차기면 도와스 셈바장보 차갈라 랑게 셈바 녜바디 하거나 아니 장보디기 독초 녜바디 하거나 아니 장보 차야라 탑시도와.
And so in terms of something like having a good heart, it's not enough for us to just say the words, so to speak, or to make these incredible prayers that we find in about wishing for all sentient beings to have happiness. Okay, it's not a bad thing. It's okay, but it's very easy for that to become just dry words, and that alone doesn't qualify for being good-hearted. What being good-hearted means is to look back to the kind of mental states that we had before and see how we've been able to change those by applying relative kind of relevant antidotes, and see how from seeing how we were before and then seeing the need to change and then applying the antidotes. That's what it means in this context to have a good heart.
대지 랑 진진하네 고균 랑 진진 라야데라 아니 독자 임바 아니 랑 진의 지임바 아니 랑 진지랑 지는 자와제나 대차 셰당 디무 낙심 느심 록다 차도 참마로 랑 진진디 계기도 랑 진진디 주사데 당진 말이봐 다음에 발라 딱도 아니지 딱든진 아니 최탐 제네 아니지 끼지끼지는 지네 아니지 그 메다비랑실라 아니 셈 트라디기 아니 딱반징기도 당지 로제네 차당이 로제기도 아니 미장위랑실라 아니지 장만지네 딜라 차당이 로제기도 메다비랑실라 딱반지 미장위랑실라 장만지 딜라 차당 로제 되니 동예베랑실라 대반진 시베분조 자침보 가래 연나 타만데 동예베랑시 레도와 대 장만로와 아니지 다음 해발라 딱도 따니 짜완디 독이 짜와데 다음 해발라 딱도 따니 자당이 론진데야지 시샤 용수조고 롭종지에 당 장배 연된 죽주지에 창만로와 아니 카리카니 차고리 가서 동예 마데바 차고로 동예 짜완디 가래 아니 당진세나 마릭바 로 친지로 되니 의니 수단 겐도 있니 시샤 가래 있나 의니 수 마통와 있나 다 뜻이나 서로 디 의니 수 마통와 맞에 랑진지 로네 주미시지 남도기 로 출바지 양결수 전에지네 출바지 칼라 전에질데 메지나 되니 강에 조주매와 욕자 조주매와 가도이나 네가 데비 네가 저와는 주도랑지 거라 동료랑지 된제지 마통하지 데 인자네다 오네 자네 뭐니 주지 로직당 시샤데서 뭐니 주지 통곡도 와 전 뭐니 주지 통소나 뒤다 남바 근도 가서 동해 용과요 말해 동해 짜바 매바 차송아 동해 마용아 맞에 대변 중에 용수 저와 동행기 자와 저주와 저 하고나 얘라 닌지 표도 중앙지 제이로 닌지 딘지 톰는 지마로 semjen 상말로 랑자와 동행만 봐 대반대 버리 되니 톱자 란다메 봐 동행 줘야 돼 줘야 도와 매봐 줘야 도와 semjen 탐지 되는지 용는 지마로 되니 semjen 탐지 세는다 로아르 쪽이 semjen 방제 빼라서 인다 마마마트야 와이나다 던로데 미니 하고 그러 다 디소디 주미 제미 레 말이 주젠 겐도 레 말이 주팀빙하네 나 딘디 나와지도 나와지 샤르송아 대상말로와 방제시 줄레 때바이나 닌지제야 랑지 마주바이 춘이 니승한 때바이나 닌지제야 되니 또 그 남숨 타르바다 탐지 침바 좀 자침보 용수 줘봐 용야 수수기 대변 중에 용수 줘봐 용야 샘진라 다고 인자네 대나진 까트니 토네 닌지셔야 닌지 잡루 저기도 덴지기 닌지 제송아이나 되니 강에 채와이나 아니 수술라지 가지고로다 같이 강에 채나 잡아치셔야 닌지 초도 줘봐지 저봐 초도 줘봐지 아니 다 가르쳐 그러고지 한람 강에 매와줘지 한람 강에 매와줘지 한이스나 강에 쥐팅도 그 강에 채사 유다 유진 참말로 랑지 매바 통사리 내 인절리 짐바 아티데라 니지제로 샤사기로 아지 출발이 닌제
So so the process of that occurs to us is the base of all of this is where do the attachment, jealousy, harmful intent, covetousness, they all arise out of this self-grasping mind, which misunderstands the nature of reality and takes something which has no inherent self-nature to have an inherent self-nature. And so, this can, in another context, for things which are actually momentary, they're impermanent and changing moment by moment, and we take them to be solid. We take them to be fixed and unchanging, and then on the basis of this, so for instance, in terms of taking something which is changing and taking it to be changing, then it's easy to develop kind of attachment and grasping towards them. Things which are kind of impure or unclean to be clean, and again, the process of mistakenly understanding things, bringing us suffering, and for things which are things in our experience which are actually suffering, to mistakenly take them to be pleasant or enjoyable, and there we have our sort of kind of overwhelming sense of enjoying what we would call the joys of the samsaric life. So this process is, again, but all underpinned with this this misunderstanding of taking something which doesn't have a self to have a self. And so if we build whatever kind of life we build on the top of those mistaken understandings of the way that things actually exist, then we have to look through that. We have to see through the mistake that we've made, and to see through to see that they are mistaken ways of understanding things, and to understand that they are in fact the very opposite of the way that things actually exist. And there will be no end with this process, particularly of misapprehending something which has no intrinsic self to have a self. Then comes in this kind of incongruent sort of way of engaging with reality, this drives the poisons of attachment and aversion or hatred, and there'll be no end to the problems of our lives. If we were able to basically reverse this process by, so what this highlights is the need for us to see through to the nature of reality and to understand the mistaken nature of our understanding, and then if we were able to cut away the root, cutting this away at the root of the mistaken understanding, and also this will also help us in terms of this also helps us. These understandings of impermanence and the lack of intrinsic reality also help us in relation to other sentient beings, because it actually spurs on our compassion. So the self-cherishing which also springs out of these mistaken ways of seeing the world, then help us to understand. Oh, the other sentient beings are like me. They're in the same kind of trap as I've been. They've fallen into the same misunderstanding as I've fallen in, and then we, if we sort of broaden that out, that if you're, let's say you're practicing these things and starting to understand them, then when you see other sentient beings, you will see them with compassion for the fact that you see the suffering that comes from not understanding the reality, and you feel that they can also, just as I have started to understand the way things are, they can also do the same, and we expand that out to the kind of how in Buddhism we talk about the six different realms which are inhabited by sentient beings. Of course, we only manifestly have access to the human and the animal realm, but this so we can see them in that compassionate way, and so what happens is, and you also in a much broader context, the sense of the misunderstandings and correcting all of those misunderstandings, allowing us to completely the ability to complete that we could all have the ability to completely remove all of those misunderstandings, which would lead us on the path to enlightenment. And so our compassion, once we have these understandings, it gets deeper and deeper. And this is not kind of overcome by when difficulties fall upon us. We don't get sort of straight. It doesn't sort of disturb us, because what it does, there's the difficulties, and our understanding of the nature of things drives more. It creates in us more patience, greater compassion. It's the most wonderful of forms of passion and compassion and patience, and so at the end we understand that the way that the tremendous importance of understanding the way that things exist on all of these different levels.
다 한들 수수기 빼 따와 딘디 친지말로 칠롱와 마시바 이나 아니 수수 니레서 하노라 아니 수수 내가 가르지이나 장드 삼노마다 하시네 젠드 삼노다니 젠 체들라 아니 수수 내가 가르지이나 다지 젠라 펜토와쇼 아니 또 그 땀 니스 가르치 체중 가르치 내가 자 체중 가르지이나 녜시 드링 아니 내가디 아니 가르지이나 다 젠라 텔 젠라 펜토와쇼 내가 딜라 때네 데바 여치 참말로 semazang boyungashu ani karjuguru ji decha ta shedang ta timu nyungru roashu chene kununze kejawaina tene mama chöcha gore ani dinde gi chawadi zöjana susugi ani leju ledan jiborede kunungi chebarge ani ji dribede zachimbo zechaya
so the even if we were not to immediately fully understand all of these sort of levels of nature of reality, and even if we weren't to that, but even throughout our daily lives, whatever we're doing, whether it's education or work or whatever we're engaged in, one of the ways to create a sort of this good heart, and also to actually for ourselves to create a vast kind for ourselves and others to create a vast kind of resultant kind of fruit, is to think that you're not. So everything, motivation is key to all of this. So to have the motivation that whatever you're doing, engage with whatever kind of activities there are, whatever it's related to, that we would, we're not doing them for our own selfish purposes, that we would aspire that whatever we're doing is beneficial and provides benefit and happiness for others. And this is the good heart. We would wish that whatever we're doing, that for ourselves and others, that the kind of three poisons of attachment, ignorance or aggression, aversion or aggression, and ignorance are reduced. And so actually what happens is, if we do this, the work that we do at that time is the same. The job is the same, or the study is the same. Whatever it is you're engaged in is the same. But there's a huge difference because of the different kinds of motivation that we bring to do that.
Then also, ji nangba sanji bi chuen rawo ji chenyen rawo ina ta chanju semi korsung ni tanade ji men sem da men ba sem je da njuba sem ji ji zin ni rogre se ma selbo ji xiong ni da ani ji men ba sem ji je la go ba kan do 타이비 샘제 탐지 산지지 공부를 못해 토바 쇼시 슬라와이나 상제스나 가르지 그바지 수수하고 그러 딘지 톱샤지 하마고나 데라 가서 이게 톤도지 로제기면도 가서 니레 초하노라 배샤리 민리 딘지 네갑지 톱샤지라 가서 쉐와지기 도나지니 니 딱봐 아니지 자니마 레마도 아니 가르주고로 다지 뒤주 콤바메 봤으니 자와지 제니 표주단 거로 다 가서 장죽 라야디 장죽이 셈 라야디 간르지 장고요메 간르지 추고요메 내라랑라 거바 가세서요메 짜침부 가르 이면디 니기 디지 가르제요메 랑 아니 니갑다 탁두라 대화 가세서 제요메 예 내갑다 탁두라 대화 가세서 제요메 디교 가리메 디깬 가리메 딘지스니 계획신이 된 거야 당 아니 딘지 때네 계획신이 되라양 자치부제 아니 배 규잡세 거래 라마 존지 라드레마도 지 톱타인 이 중간에 지 가르주고로 지 왕는시 왕숙시 되게 좀 말아 봐. 다 톰도 일로 레와이나 랑 진진된 거 교인 독자 진 진진 자침보 임바 진 진진 가래 semba zambo 같이 요와이나 가완로는 집어요래. 디 시럽이 제 진바이나 대로 시럽이 제 진소와이나 소소 가완로는 잠블링데 가서 얘다 강바 나지래. 랑이 강바 나지. 디기 띵라 연주 셈진 상말로 가서 얘 파마지 보고 나지래. 가이즈는 동에 만들어 찍바래. 대반되어 찍바래. 또그 담숨이 제당 로당 용수 접어 찍바래. 끼치 직로이 랑신 찍바래. 메다 동에 또 담이지 니치도 용수 접어 찍바래. 대송장 가서기 강에 가르치기도 쓸라나 짐바 아티지. 차당이로지. 잔주기 셈줘야 돼. 참바다 가르쳐다 민주기 셈라지 깨워나 멤버 셈지 디 가라래샤. 타입이 셈지 탐지라 바 셈디 자체모 지제나 랑 캡상 가래도 그 양보 가래도 강에 지도 그 양보 로가래 강에 지도 되나라 랑시 제외하당 안에 화장기 셈 준반다 화장 셰당 라야다 화장기 되샤지야다 싸니 미시바래 산주셈기 장축라야 디가라 아니 칼레 아니 전에 지와이나 저 야슈 너리야슈 데렌도와 태송장 네 칼레 전에 지와이나 아니 다 죽비 chanjugi semzelana ngosu susugi da semje tamji sanjiji 공부를 뭐지 거기인데 그발라 되니 파친 두기 냠내지네 아니 시럽도 파르도 심바 용수도 봐 냠내지기세 디수수 ngosu 냠내지기 스송거로 다데 냠내 제발라 디 연대인데 하거나 가신지기래 맞아 총 점녀이나 총 계산치 보이나 딜라 맞잡라는 거 가신지네 미세델라페 고세 데려야지 차되어 봐이나 대로 담당 아니 가중 칼 drode이도 가이즈고 콜 톱샷 tim부즈 여러와 다 장죽 셈기디 편연당 소소 셈 장보당 셈 장보당 자친부 니가 초에나라 미시나라 니레 초에노라 타르두 아니 깨와니 깨와 용수 쪽으로 대지 돼야지 자신지 소소 믹통 라신신 하거나 안데라 가신지그래 데라 쩌는 지그래 지 고야래 의지 참바라 다 디지야라 맞아 매일 유대 하사질라 샘제 수지 제토금면 도와
the what's important is the sort of understanding. Sorry, that's a bit I read before. When we're talking about the awakening mind, and particularly in this Buddhist context, we talk about the awakening mind of Bodhicitta. We talk about the aspirational awakening mind, and then we all talk about the awakening mind which actually manifestly engages in the practices of the Bodhisattva path. And right at the beginning, what we have to do is understand what's the point of it? What are the advantages of it? What does it mean? If we don't understand what the qualities of it are, what's the purpose in striving to give rise to those kind of states of mind, then if we don't really know what they are and what the purpose is and what the benefits are and the qualities are, then it's very difficult for us to give rise to those in our own minds. You can see easily evidenced examples in life, for instance, in a business context. If you saw the advantages, or in something that we wish to buy, for instance, and if we saw the great advantages or qualities of it, and then we would make in a regular life context, we would work hard in order to obtain that, and apart from maybe a day off a week, we would hardly have any spare time to do anything else because we saw the advantages of what we wanted to purchase. So with the awakening mind, then it's we should look at what all of these the context. What is it about? Why is it valued and considered so great? What kind of happiness would it give to us, both in the short term and in the long term? Then what kind of causes and conditions does it arise from? So this is kind of seeing both the need for it, but also seeing the need for it, but also understanding clearly about it and how it's given, how we give rise to it.
소소 라마라데 데서 참말로 빵당 잔주쌤 제당 데서데 다이나 아니 라마 자이 라마 세라야지 차진지 여러세.
So, and perhaps then we also go to our spiritual guides and teachers and ask them further details about what are the ways in which we abandon the kind of factors which would act as obstacles to it arising, and what are the ways in which we develop the conducive conditions which allow us to develop these kinds of minds. So not going to them and relying on our spiritual teachers in that way in relation to the development of the awakening mind. And actually, what we find when we work on developing this kind of mind is that we're kind of, wherever we go, there's a kind of sense of relaxed kind of openness and happiness. It's like these minds such as compassion, loving kindness, the awakening mind become like our kind of our own house that we live in and take with us wherever we go. And whenever we're engaged with other sentient beings, then they're almost like, we can say something like our children or like our family. There's this sense of closeness, since they all wish to have happiness. They don't wish to have suffering, and they're all in the nature of impermanence, selflessness, and these kind of conditions themselves. Then we feel sort of this mind wishing for them to have the highest of happinesses is sort of we feel very sort of close to them also, and so looking at what would be what's the benefits of wishing that we could place all of the sentient beings in the state of highest happiness, the fully enlightened state. What is the benefit? What are the benefits of that? And is it? And what it does is, as I say, creates this relaxed, kind of open and a vast kind of sense of our minds, and it's almost impossible for anger and strong anger and attachment to actually arise when we have. So these are the kind of arise when we're developing those kind of minds. So, and then that's so there's the wish that we are able to place all of the sentient beings in the fully enlightened state, and then also then understanding the qualities of in terms of the engaged awakening mind, which is the practice of the 6 perfections, which is our real practice when we're talking about the awakened mind. The 6 perfections are our actual practice, and so it all is like, as many examples are there in real life. When we see the advantages and the qualities of something just in an ordinary context, then it's very easy for us to engage in and pursue those things. So in the same way, we should also sort of investigate and sort of come to understand more clearly about bodhicitta, the awakening mind, in order to help us kind of pursue and engage in it.
Kang darada misenola ji chambada zerelodi ta ngazungwe ji nane.
And so it seems to me that it's the most wonderful, or the most the best of all kind of ways of thinking and ways of acting must be the loving kindness and compassion. This must be the best of all in our lives.
jen 가르치체 강에 가와치 가와 로이나 되니 파신투 진양len치 도베지 아니 강에 주님에 봐 강에 가르치여 봐이나 심나나 진난다 감자메 봐 마세 아니 참바 닝제 저바 학삼 딘데 낭라 차와치 되야지 가시 참바다 제벨로디메 송아체 시랍지 배주 마당와이나 아니 당진이 가르치고를 간진디 아니 대차 Shedang, Timu, Naksim, Nusim, Lokta, Trato, that day you have Jugula, Rang Kawandrona Gias Yomari, Rang Juno Lonjoyana, Jibo Yomari, Rang Corpusayana, Jibo Yomari, Rang that Lulonju, Carisayana, Jitaya Kaya Yomari, Dele, Dog de, Gange Chimbu Shirayo, Jigba Chimbu, that Caricia, that Kangda Top Short down, Retogi, Jingne, and 강다 랑랑라 다 정가는 나지 주가나지 차루도 대송다 시럽기 표주 땅에 잠바다 제벨로 제와이나 나무 산집이 추르듯이 제와이나 되니 뷰타고 되니 오늘 시에네 대바토야 좀 전에 되는 대바토야 싫어 배제 마당이나 양 삼제 두금무금라제 악사라제 아니지 잠바다 제벨로 데스지 서바다 데스지 니마 가시 나와 가시 로 가시네 록다지야 들이 용도와 대수네 수수 취지에 tema 취라야디 지 미리기기 니수 마임바 아니 셈예지기 그거라 취라나 쥐치 수수 동에 만들어봐 로 독자한테서 쥐치 아니 대화이 쥐듯이 정말로 아주 가서 장장주당 아니 강달 아니 따와 친지로야다 쥐바 친지로 대화 되는데 아니 친지 말로이 따와지다 친지 말로이 쥐바지 레송아 이나 내내 송데 다 타르바세나 탐지 준비 공부하야지 되니야 좋다기도 로여서와 대 용알라 라마치니 다 덴바지다 소소 대바다 무휴 이시대양 신의 대바토양하는 로바이나 되니 검잖아 검주여와지 검람나 검지대야라 검지 가르대는 거래다 양 당지 말이과다 랑진진인데 나라라 내 자오임바 내샤임바 뱀미시 내가 타도 가두이나 다 제이난다 두이난다 다 뱀미시 독자데 수레세나 랑이 당지 랑진진 오 니니 되게 랑라 뇌대바 소바 동에 옌라 뇌대바 소바 동에 데니데 다메비 로지당 옌진진기 로 참바다 제로지 시송아이나 데니 시에데니 검지데니 안 데니데 니다와 갈래 곰 동부 퇴바지 데니 삼중 고아 갈래 곰 데니 지 제지 용아 갈로 레르 데니 즈미 갈라 레송아이나 데니 가완 로와이나 셈진 가리나 파마 가왈레바이나 파이 랑게 용수 쪼바 독리니지 가르치와 있는데라 랑진 닝제 총로야지 남중 가서 닝제세나 아니지 도그이 풍대야 추르 미기 통하지 셈지 닝제 다지 동해 차대야지라 내라 닝제라 다 디고 체신지래너 다 단다 닝제듯이 소소 자라 닝제 니라 닝제 자라 닝제 창망로 잠블링 디칼라 셈제 동해 만들바 대반되바 용수 줘발라 짭되니 근되니 뽕되니 랑기 믹 송아나지 셈제 창망라 송고야지 소소를 nimba 소소라 이치 셈제 탐제네 되니 딘리기 셈 자침부지 당 셈창부지 당 아니 쩨바 장부지 로이칼라 칸르스니 렘나 지마루 다이 딜래야 치들라 고근이 자와 칸르지치 데인스네 파친축 데 데니 다다 쇠바 치바이나 표도 중아 짐바 동와이나 표도 중아 짐바 동와이나 랑 톱자다 그자 말이 셈제 탐지네 심 추바티 시야치들라 심 추바 시야치도 쇠바 점젠 당지 랑다지 데닝기야 양 랑시 마주바 통하이나 점젠 짜침부 장장 링우도 대송자는 닌르지 제와이나 데니 빼 가와 가두 가래이나 자와 용수 저와 수술라 강에 태야지 자와 여 말이다 셈나 닝지 제야다 셈바 장부 줘야 되다 덴지지 간에 저저 당와이나 자치모도 내 용야라 아니지 다자지 덤바 자치모다 가져로 산지 좀 된디기 마 동에 씨버치 근중 빵와치 아니 람 공바치 고방은도치 소야한테도 참말로 코란 빼딱다지 고방은도치 라야디 파인라 계셔봐 산지 라야디 랑이 셈 랑진디 셈제소소소기 셈이 랑진 셈이 내룩 원내 맞추바디 시송아이나 고바티레도 산지 디레도 다 딕노잉 니즈데 마통하지 니즈데 니마 저러지나 가서 찜바 저러지나 찡니 다니 찜바 저러데 빼데 다 샬론에서 용수 저벌 찡니 아니 내가 차당지네 아니 고지 니마 여되나 찜베지 찡자네 통메로 봐 대나지 세미 장신데 통소나 되네 직박그 전적도 시야라 지야지요 말이 개야라 직도요 말이 나야라 직도요 말이 참말로 고 덴지 뒤중간에 샤르잠지로 샤르잠지리 덴바지오레 덴바디 가려오레잖아 뒤주빙안에 뜻서 땡중안에 조제는 때네 뒤주 튜닝안에 야샤레 조전은 때네 두두 추닝하나 마 지그리 코란 추진 거는 샤바니네 지방 어디 줍자네 데라 맞아 이치치야다 맞아 이지 만주치야다 맞아 이 차당 줘야지 주 맨도와 그래 가고 싶어 당가 네 깨주는 개발하기들이
깨깨를 가는 거서.
깨주자고 되샤 뭔다
No. And so then we're sort of if we have these so seeing, as we were talking about, seeing the qualities and then having a sort of interest to engage in these things, and then if we engage in the practices of the Bodhisattva path, such as the six perfections, there's no kind of difficulties or fears for arise with us when we they only inspire us to have patience and altruism and. But if we, so that's a path based in the understanding of how things are. But if we have we go the other route where we don't understand the way in which things exist, then there's tremendous fears and difficulties that arise for us. With lacking wisdom, there's a very strong sort of engagement with the self-grasping mind, the kind of egoistic self-grasping mind, and then also the kind of selfish, self-cherishing minds, and then based on those, the ignorance, attachment, aversion, wrong views, jealousy, competitiveness, all of these things come out. It's like we're kind of it's like we're through this misunderstanding. It's like we're bound within the misunderstanding of the wrong conduct, and with the wrong conduct and the mistaken conduct and mistaken view and mistaken conduct. Then it's like we're bound within a kind of prison of all of this cycle of negativity, and what we need is a kind of but we also need to. This needs to be grounded in reason. In the faith that we have in these things needs to be grounded in reason. And if we're, it's not something that just we do for a few days, because without being grounded in reason and only sort of engaging in these things for a short time, without the backup of kind of reason, it very quickly fades away. The word in Tibetan for the Dharma is che. The Dharma has this sense within it of changing, changing of the mind, and so what we so understand. So, for instance. Changing the mind so that we engage in the cause. So with our wish to avoid suffering and to have happiness, and then we have to understand the sort of causes and conditions which help us to do that. And then engaging in understanding that whole thing, and then engaging in those and changing our mind is what it means to have Dharma practice. If we're under the sway of the mistaken view, then it's very difficult for us to walk the path to liberation. And one other important factor which is important here is in terms of kind of faith or sort of aspiration, and then in terms of meditation. Meditation has an understanding of being habituated or accustomed, becoming accustomed to something, and what we have to habituate ourselves at all times to here is the understanding and this is the way that we change our minds, the understanding that the self-grasping, the egoistic self-grasping view and the self-cherishing views are absolute enemies, that they not only, they are, and the three poisons, and self-grasping, self-cherishing, and the three poisons are things which they are our enemies. They harm not only ourselves, but they also harm others, and that's the kind of habit that we have to create of understanding that is our enemy, and then also habituating ourselves to wisdom and the understanding of understanding that the way we see things is mistaken, and understanding the correct view, and then in the basis of that engaging in correct conduct. And then what we do is the process of meditation proceeds, well, first of all by hearing or listening to teachings, then by contemplating those, and then sort of cultivating familiarity through meditation upon them. And at some point they become almost, they go from something which requires a lot of effort to something which is almost effortless. And this is, so this is the sort of way that we proceed forward. So we have to, so all sentient beings not wishing to have not wishing to have suffering and wishing to have happiness, and we should see others through the eyes that we see ourselves. In the way that we see ourselves, we should also see others in this way, and then the correct kind of conduct and view, and then whatever, and then that leads us with the sort of the path of the Bodhisattva path through the sort of Bodhicitta, through to the practices of the six perfections, such as generosity, ethical conduct, and patience, and these with this correct view, then these practices of the six perfections really become kind of complete and perfect, through seeing that there is no intrinsic through seeing that there's no intrinsic nature to phenomena and reality. Then it's then really in all of our activities, there's no problems, don't arise at all. What happens is that only instead of the problem, when problems come to us while we're practicing this path, it's only compassion that arises, and then we have and then we sort of perhaps develop to some extent a reverence for the teacher, the Buddha, who taught these things, who said to us, look at your own suffering, know the suffering, understand the causes of suffering, or remove the causes of suffering, manifest the cessation of that state, the suffering, the liberation, and and in order to do that, practice the path, and so when we talk about here about manifesting the state of cessation or liberation, what we mean is, in some sense, what is also being said is to understand the nature of mind, to see through to the nature of mind, and so for us, which would be the state where the kind of sun is fully shining. For us, we're kind of these things. We don't see these things clearly, and they're hidden. We're kind of hidden behind the clouds for us, and we can't see the real nature of mind. But understanding the true nature of mind, the truth of the dependently related nature of reality, and how in some way the phenomena or experiences all come out of through the dependently related nature. They come out of what we would call the Dhamma Dhatu, the sphere of kind of reality, and almost sort of dissolve back into that sphere of reality. If we have this kind of faith and understanding, then there will be no way for negative states of mind such as anger and strong attachment to arise in us.
Laso tinita 다들라 ngazo changmang lo atini sem chura de ma ditap ta chambata zevelo shirap cha chembo digala perjen chala ani changmang la hudabada naro na tiring de la phedeni ji ani changmang lo tuji she tashi dele ani chaja no lo ngashi ba mo yosare chen namba zo nge tamshi nya la khogapje tuji she karin che ani digida chambata zevelo chanjuk semda toni ikorge nga zo drawing chi yanjoji ani si gebe zawa deyang ani sanje ji temba chanjugi semda toni dawa semje tamji jula miyan thang ani ti temba jinji ani jeshen thamba chama kuse deyang thang ani zamlin semje yonsu zoba ani kuse de parchu mewa ani chawa khang chiwa changmalwa ani ji gebe chuso yungela mendiye garinche.
And so this kind of concludes my talk for today on the loving kindness and loving kindness and compassion, and also I encourage you at all times to try to work on methods which allow us to tame the mistaken mind and to enhance and to allow to flourish the positive states of loving kindness and compassion. And I think that there were... so thank you to all of you today for coming here to listen to my explanation. And also I think there are probably quite a few people online as well, so thank you very much for taking the time to join us. And may all of the virtue, the positive virtue that comes from all of us listening and thinking about these things, may that ripen, may all of the positive benefits of that ripen on all of the sentient beings, and may they have happiness and lack any sort of obstacles to their joy and happiness, and may all the actions that all sentient beings do always fall into the kind of virtuous side of life.
Tushita ani kona bazo zo chibi andanga zo kon zo chibi kon tsenga zo ani kumbe zo chibi ani dela ni tawa lo tawa dawa tu yos zo bana deni be dorje sembe gomde so saya jiba jaya hale baje zachimudu jesu iranta gadinche jugi ani de dring ani khodik cheya da tesu samalo and
so very grateful to all of you again for joining and listening and thinking about these things, and very specifically to all of the people at Lama Zopa Rinpoche's Dharma Center here, the Tushita, and all of the staff and members here who you put in tremendous effort through days and months and years of organizing courses and events such as Vajrasattva and all the other courses that they do, and that helping to create to sort of clear away negativities and to create great merit. So I am tremendously grateful for you all for doing this and rejoice in your activities.
Teni samalo narangi kesha yawo shi mare teni karisho karo ani chena ba tuzu cholan roya zora tere da tachi ke shira jumze me wanda teni chasung nang gonda si jugi ta ngarang ngene susu gang pema di ngane nyamnyu ngene semba namda ji lasam namda ji ma do jinda ngala mixi lobjonda da kaya mewa inzane ke mare da zo jawa doji changji chilap la dene ani ji susugi semba namda ngane ji jogachi tuje.
And so I apologize to any of you if you've come here and you feel that things that I've said were a little bit of a waste of your time, or they didn't really have any sort of there weren't any strong reasons that really struck you from what I've said. But everything I say comes out of my experience and and I say that I sincerely have presented what I feel. I didn't receive a great spiritual education in the texts and things like this, but I say it from sincerely from my mind, from my experience, and because and also through the great gratitude of the blessing of His Holiness the Vajradhara. So I thank you very much for being here.
Thank you. Chanjo simjo rimbo je maje bana je je jewa nyamba meba kone kondo peba jo doni dawa rimbo je maje bana je jewa nyamba meba ya kone kondo peba jo dage tuzon gewa na randen chimi magu sizon senje malu Sanjin tobe junjuru ji jewa gundo yanda lama dan jeme chuje bela longju sada namje yande razan doje changje gombo nyurdo jo gewande jiwo gun sona wishe zozo sona wishe lenjo tamba kunyen tobore shu temban jiden konsum chumba temba ni shindo suba denje punu shindo tumba Temba yuri nebe trashi shu pedan zuo mungu Ijin nobo pansanji simje rwa gongzu Samba drubi trashi shu
Saji begi Jugji
Thank you.